Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and begin the August 25th, 2014 St. Charles County Council meeting. If everybody would join me first for the invocation, which will be provided today by Pastor Greg Cranston from the Life Spring Community Church of St. Peter's. All rise, please.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this governing board. We thank you that you give wisdom. We believe that you give wisdom. Trust you for that. I ask your blessing upon these men and women who serve our county. I ask you for wisdom for them tonight. And we thank you, our God, that we live in a land where you are welcome, where you are adored by many. And I thank you for this gathering. Bless them tonight. I pray and we pray in the name of Jesus, our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, thank you for your words. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Terry Hollander.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Carol, you want to do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Brazel. Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here. All right. Is it working?
It's telling me it's starting.
Starting, okay. All right. First, we're going to have a public hearing on the capital program capital program and strategic plan for the years 2015 through 2019. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second. Motion made and second. The public hearing is now is opened. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the capital program and strategic plan? Council members, do you have any questions on it? Okay. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have the portion of our meeting that is set aside for public comments. During this time, anybody that wants to approach the council and talk about anything that's on our agenda or of countywide interest, you're welcome to do so at this point. Once a subject has been opened, we'll stay on that subject and go back and forth with pros and cons, and then move forward to the next one. Yes, sir, you may come forward.
Good evening. My name is Chet Bokey, as you well know. I have a little problem with something that should have been done a long time ago. You know, driving is a privilege. Privilege, not a guarantee. And we've got an epidemic, you might say, of actually people driving out there while texting. Nobody's done nothing about it yet. I don't know why. I think we need a bill introduced that would say no texting while driving. It's very simple. I'm a motorcyclist. I'd hate to think I'm going to lose my life because someone's sitting there texting on their little phone and not paying any attention. That's what it takes, 100% attention. John, I'd hope you can support this one. I'd like to ask if one of you will introduce this and move it right along. What I've got here also is I think we need not a $20, $30, $40 fine for the first time. I think we need to impress upon these people that this is a serious, serious offense. I don't know why it hasn't been passed on a state level, except maybe telephone companies maybe have a little lobbying power. But I ask you all to overcome that and do the right thing. I don't think there should be very much debate on this whatsoever, because you can pull over at any given time, and if you text your little heart away, but any time, that's while the key's in the ignition, whether it's off or on. If it's on, DWI says that's an offense. I might not go that far, but I can tell you something. I think you all need to take this serious. I would ask you, humbly ask you, to move this right along if you possibly can. And if you can't, I'd like to know why. It's the only question I have. I'm not going to go as far as asking no talking on the telephone, but I don't need an age limit on this. No one, 80, 50, 20, can text and be a good driver at the same time. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you very much. Does anybody else want to talk about texting while you're driving? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies. I'm Edward Shepard, or Tony Shepard. I'm one of the legislative officers up for ABATE for Missouri. I'm a motorcyclist. I'm also a veteran. I'm also a trucker and a farmer. On the state level side of it, to expand what the gentleman has said, I agree 100%. You've got trained professional drivers up in there that they've already restricted for hands-free. Why the states haven't picked it up, and believe me, through Senator Stauffer, Senator Schaefer, several representatives up in there, we have tried and tried and tried to pound this through the state legislative side, through the House and Senate. It's been tried, and hands-free. You know, we didn't go for just the texting. We went for hands-free. Same thing as the federal initiative up on there. It's been proven over and over again. I'm used to be one of the field reps for the AMA, American Motorcycle Association. We've done some tests and studies. I've reviewed the insurance for the highway safeties. It's been proven. It's distracted. It is a major cause of accidents. It's killed a lot of my brothers and sisters. Not only on a motorcycle, but a lot of times I'll have 50 to 90,000 pounds in the back of my truck. I get somebody up in front of me not paying attention. Their car up there is a heck of a lot smaller than my vehicle. They're just kind of drifting around. They're just kind of floating around, and you can see them on the highway. You recognize them. I'm sure you folks have done it. You've seen them out, not saying you've texted or anything else like that. We're not going to go there. I've learned that a long time ago. But you can almost see them going down the road. They're distracted. Let's at least take an example out of a book. How about let's at least take a step into the hands-free? Let's take that one step. We're trying to do it on a statewide level, and it's just, I got to keep my job. I understand that too. You're elected. But I can't elect you if I'm dead. I'm on a motorcycle, and that's what's killing us. Fail yield turns, distracted drivers. That's all I got. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate your coming forward on that. Anybody else want to talk about texting while driving? Anybody else want to talk about any other issues that are tonight? Yes, sir.
How are you? My name is Steve Steen, and most of you have seen a small crowd gathered outside wearing shirts similar to this. You may be wondering why we're standing out there, and we're here to explain. Within the past few weeks, law enforcement officers and police departments as a whole have become heavily scrutinized. The media and several politicians have portrayed a negative image of the job being done not only by local but nationwide news medias. I'm here as just a small voice, and all of those who want to take a stand and show support for our police departments. We appreciate the work that they do on a daily basis to keep the community safe, and do not feel the criticism they have received in any way reflects the job they do. One of our concerns is the attack on the tactical gear and equipment. This equipment is used only in critical situations and has been proven to save lives on many occasions. In hostile situations, such as the recent protests in Ferguson, these officers worked to protect citizens and in turn needed the equipment to protect themselves. Some of our politicians are working to get this equipment removed from our police departments. We want to make sure that these politicians, as well as the citizens, are educated in the matter before jumping the gun and disarming these officers. We are here to spread the awareness and to show support from our police departments. I want to thank everyone here that has taken the time to listen, as well as those who stood outside. And I might add, before you would consider removing any of this, get online and look at some of the situations that are on video back when they had the LA bank robbery, where the police departments were outgunned. The bad guys had on all kinds of body armor. police officers had to go to gun shops and commandeer assault rifles to combat this. And there's hundreds of other episodes that you could look up online that will show that just how outgunned law enforcement is right now. And it's this equipment that we have, or they have, is saving their lives, to include things like the armored truck. Well, if you go back to the LA shooting, you'll notice that an armored truck was commandeered to rescue wounded police officers and civilians, because the type of weapons being used would go right through a vehicle, just like Swiss cheese. And we would appreciate your thoughts for this and helping with us.
Thank you. It's very well stated and very well put. I certainly appreciate y'all coming forward tonight and showing the support for our police officers. And I gotta say, personally speaking, I agree with everything you said. If I had to stand the line with people throwing rocks and boulders in some cases and Molotov cocktails and the rest, give me whatever defense I can if I'm gonna stand the line out there. So I think that it's our duty to make sure our guys have, and gals of course, have all the appropriate safety gear and every piece of equipment they need to promote safety and public keep the public unrest down. So thank you very much. Anybody else want to talk on this particular subject? Any other subjects that someone would like to address tonight? Yes, in the back row. You're next, sir.
Hello again, it's Earl Lewis. I'm with the Sheriff's Preservation Committee, and I guess you all know that there's been some more information come out, and it's the power of our sheriff as it was prior to the election. If we change it the way it is now, federal and state government can come in and overpower a chief. But with a sheriff, the sheriff has the right to stop any state or federal agency from coming in and taking over a situation, which I think is very, very important. And again, I've talked to so many people, and they want our sheriff as it was. They want to keep it that way. They want to elect him. And there was something that was said to me, is a sheriff cannot effectively run his office if he has to worry about being reelected. Well, if that's the case, then maybe we need to just appoint our president, or maybe we just need to appoint our council and do away with elections. It's the power of the people, and we have the right to either vote for that person or against him. And the people I've talked to, they want to vote and keep our sheriff the way it was, but also let him be our first line of defense against any state or local government trying to overpower his duties. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anybody else want to speak about the petition drive and of going back and revoting the issue of the appointed versus elected sheriff? Yes, sir. You in the red shirt first, and then the blue shirt, you're second.
Thank you. My name's Jason Cadell, and we support keeping the sheriff as an elected official as it stands. Too many things are going on in this country in this day and age where the people don't feel like they have control anymore. especially when it concerns governments and officials. And we'd like to maintain, at least think we're maintaining a little bit of control, a little bit of say-so on what's going on. And as was mentioned, Ferguson being a hot topic right now, my hometown, if there was an elected sheriff over there, would be the supreme authority in his county, as we have now, could have stepped in, and maybe things wouldn't have escalated to the point that they did. And we'd like to keep things and have that ability here in St. Charles still.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
My name is George Nagel. I've been a resident of St. Charles County for over 20 years. 2 of my married children live in St. Charles County. All 4 of my grandchildren live in St. Charles County. I'm very concerned about this Sheriff Preservation Initiative. I feel it should be put on the November ballot. This change was put on the ballot in November 2012 at the last minute. I think everybody would agree about that. The language was very confusing. So to me, let's put it on the ballot so people have time to think about it by November. In 98% of the counties in the country, the most powerful law enforcement officer in the county is elected, voted on by the people. The way it is now, the most powerful law enforcement officer in St. Charles County is appointed by one person with the approval of the board. Also, I'd like to give a little example. I fly the American flag in front of my home in St. Peter's quite frequently. And just suppose the federal government were to come in and say to me, George, you need to take that flag down because it may offend some people. Right now, they also may say, we'll give you 2 weeks, and if you don't take it down, we'll fine you $1,000 a day. Federal government could say that. Right now, I have the ability to pick the phone up and call our sheriff and say, hey, I need some help. And right now, the sheriff has the ability to say, this is my county. I'm in charge here. You guys get the heck out of town. I'll take care of it. If things go the way they are, and the change comes about January 1, 2015, I will lose that protection. And I think it's like the gentleman said before, the way things are going in the country, I want all the protection possible I have from the federal government. So to clear things up, if you gentlemen on the council, the majority of you were to vote to put this initiative on the November ballot, all full disclosure, people have time to look at it, research it, and make a good decision for the betterment of St. Charles County. That's what I'd like you to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nagel. Anybody else who would like to speak on this particular issue? Yes, sir.
What these people are saying is exactly true.
You're going to speak on the same issue
Yes,
again?
I am.
You've already had your 3 minutes. Thank you. I'm sorry, it's the rules that we conduct the public hearing by. Everybody's allowed 3 minutes to speak. Anybody else that would like to speak on this particular issue?
Is that part of silencing people?
Okay. Anybody that would like to speak on anything else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Robert Percival. I have the bill 4123 on the variance. And as of Mr. Braslow's advice, I took a bunch of pictures, had some copies made up. Mr. Hammond had brought up the fact of the fire marshal thing, so I called the fire marshal in Wentzville, the fire inspector, and he said, as of like 2 years ago, they changed the code per the state of Missouri, where now he falls under the universal code of the United States. So the last page has a thing on the fire, what the restrictions are and stuff like that. Okay? If you got any questions, I'll be more than try to help you out or answer anything you got. Okay?
Anybody have any questions, or you want to wait until we get to that particular point?
Okay.
Wait till it, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Did you have your, anybody else that wanted to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm here just to talk a little bit about the tactical, as the gentleman from our support talked about tonight. I'm a resident of St. Charles County. I'm a business owner in St. Charles County. And 3, I'm a former police officer 10 years. And I just want the council to really consider about our officers now compared to where I was at in the 80s is so much more equipped to handle the things that are going on. So I just really want you guys to really think about how important it is to not think about ways to take away from our police departments, our law enforcement in St. Charles County, how to get more to them. One, as far as to protect all of us, because, you know, as a former police officer, I understand where they're at. You know, I had a lot of brothers over in Ferguson on the front lines, and I get it. I really understand, but I really want the council to think about how important these tactical equipment is for our officers. Me, myself, being on the street for 10 years, I understand it. And I just wanted to speak my piece and just present it to the board and let you guys know how important, how well we have such fine officers in St. Charles County that can take care of us if things happen. So if you would, please keep that in mind. You know, it's not just my safety. Everybody here's safety. It's also you gentlemen on the board also. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know, and I think Mr. Cronin was the first one to point it out, that we don't have any plans at all to withdraw any of the equipment from the Sheriff's Department. That is not being considered. It is not something that's come across any of our desk at all. I have seen some of those same articles in the media that talk about you know, the militarization of our police departments. It is not something that's being considered here in St. Charles. So I just want to make everybody know that. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Just a rebuttal. My name is Dave Cathy. I've lived in St. Charles County my entire life as well, as Mr. Lewis has. I'm not sure where he gets some of his information where anything's going to change. 2 years ago, the citizens of St. Charles County decided to they made a vote. They wanted you guys to make an informed decision on who the sheriff should be or the police chief should be, with information that you know, without people that may not know who they're voting for other than a sign. Just because he's appointed, sir, your son has been appointed chief in Cotterville for many years. Does that make him a crooked police chief? I'm not sure what you mean by that, because I don't think he is. So do you feel that somebody in his area is not able to call your son? Is that what I'm to believe?
You're here to speak to us.
Okay.
Okay. If you guys want to talk later, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But the decision was made several years ago. They had a chance. They were supposed to get 16,000 votes. They couldn't even muster up 16,000 votes because the people decided 2 years ago to let you guys make an informed professional decision on what to do with the police department. And we stand behind that vote still.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Does anybody else want to address the council tonight? You want to make a comment?
I can. I mean,
About what?
the sheriff.
Sure, go ahead.
Just so everybody knows, I was not in favor of the police department in St. Louis County, and we're kind of out of agenda here, but since you guys are all here and we're talking about this, not for the reasons of capabilities of whether or not the person, but for the fact that I feel you should be able to elect the official. It's like willing away your freedoms. However, the people did get to vote on them, and I would agree with some people didn't understand what they were voting on. But here's the sad fact is today, I believe there is no time to reevaluate this because I checked on it through the election authority, and it can't be put on the ballot. So unless you get a petition to reevaluate it in maybe April or something, but it cannot, as far as I know, I checked with our county councilor, it cannot be put on the November ballot. So that time is gone and went. And right or wrong, I'm just letting you know that, because I agree with most of everything you said. I don't think people understood it, and I voted no for it. However, it is what it is at this point. So I just wanted to kind of say that, unless I'm wrong on that, Harold, unless there is an opportunity to be put on the ballot, that they didn't get the petition signatures, and I think the time's up. I called Mr. Krismer and I asked him, do you know if that's true or not? Or?
I think you could depend on the election authorities.
Well, according to Mr. Krisner, the time is up. That's what he told me. So that's all. I mean, unless you guys come up with some kind of legal wrangling, I don't see it ever changing right at this point for November. And I'm telling you this because you guys come in here every meeting, and if you were 2 years ago, you had that kind of rally, things might have been different, but it's not. So that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Joe. Okay. You've already had your separate issue?
No, you just...
Same issue?
Say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, next we have the oral. Yes, Mr. Cronin.
I just want folks to know that this week Mr. Ellman had a little thank you reception for the county SWAT team when 4 of the council members were there. And we were really appreciative of all the hard work and all the time away from those folks' family. And speaking and from myself and I think of the majority of this council and Mr. Ellman, we really appreciate the work that the county law enforcement does, and we're looking to support them more, not support them less. Okay?
Thank you, Joe. Any other comments from the council? Mr. Ellman, do you have a report for us tonight?
I would just say amen to what's been said. I have no further report.
Short and to the point. We always appreciate that. Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Is there any items that people would like to pull off and discuss separately? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
And one abstention. Okay. And next we have a couple of resolutions. Carol, would you like to read the first one, please?
Resolution 1407, sponsored by Joe Brazel, a resolution reappointing Ted Struckoff to the Board of Trustees of the Hancock Bottoms Drainage District. Whereas pursuant to the St. Charles County Charter, Article 10, Section 10.608, 2012, the County Council passed Resolution 02-09, establishing a Board of Trustees for the Hancock Bottoms Drainage District and appointing 3 residents of the district, namely Leonard Nadler, Tom Kessler, and Ted Struckoff, as its first members for the term stated therein. And whereas by Resolutions 0409, 0603, 0608, 0710, 0813, 0908, 10-11, 1108, 1208, and 1308, the County Council has since reappointed or appointed district residents to the board, and its current members are Ron Bierbaum, Tom Kessler, and Ted Struckoff. And whereas because Ted Struckoff's term expires on August 25, 2014, the Council seeks to reappoint him to a new 3-year term beginning August 26, 2014. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the St. Charles County Council makes the following appointment to the Board of Trustees for the Hancock Bottoms Drainage District, Ted Struckoff, to a 3-year term beginning August 26, 2014.
Roll call vote.
A resolution reappointing Ted Struckoff to the Board of Trustees of the Hancock Bottoms Drainage District. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have another resolution adopting the 2015 Capital Program and Strategic Plan. I guess before we do that, does any council members have any questions on the plan as it was submitted? Seeing none, if you would, go ahead and read the resolution.
Resolution 1408, sponsored by council as a whole, a resolution adopting the 2015 Capital Program and Strategic Plan. Whereas the St. Charles County Charter, Article 6, Section 6.301, 2012, requires the county council to adopt the capital program and strategic plan no later than 2 months prior to the final date of the submission of the budget. Whereas the final date for submission of the budget to the county council by the county executive is no earlier than the 5th day of the 11th month or the first working day after the 5th of each fiscal year pursuant to Article 6, Section 6.201 of the St. Charles County Charter. And whereas the county executive has presented the plan to the county council, a public hearing has been held on it, and it has been made available for inspection by the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the 5-year capital program and strategic plan attached hereto as Exhibit A, known as the Capital Improvement Program, years 2015 through 2019, is hereby approved. Section 2, compliance with all the terms of the 2015 Capital Improvement Program, years 2015 through 2019, shall be the responsibility of the county executive.
Okay, go ahead and call the roll, please.
A resolution adopting the 2015 Capital Program and Strategic Plan. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of the resolutions. Next, we have bills for final passage. First one is Bill number 4122.
Bill number 4122, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1B, single-family residential district, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size, to R1D, single-family residential district, 10,000 square foot minimum lot size, as per application 23431.
Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, if you call the vote, please.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1B, single-family residential district, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size, to R1D, single-family residential district, 10,000 square foot minimum lot size, as per application 23431. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Okay, next we have Bill number 4123.
Bill number 4123, an ordinance reversing the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 22777 related to 15 Green Mountain Court.
Mr. Brazel, do you have any comments on that one?
Yeah, I'd just like to make some comments. If any of you guys went out there, you can see from the pictures that the gentleman put his shed in, and it's what I understand it, it's 1 foot away from the building line. Is that right, approximately?
19, 22 inches.
How much?
About 22 inches on the one car is the closest.
Yeah, and about 2 feet. And right or wrong, I mean, you know, when you live in the country, sometimes you build sheds and you don't get permits. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it happens a lot, especially, when did you do this?
About 2.5 years.
Yeah, and, you know, if you guys look at the terrain, somebody was concerned about the neighbor. When you're on this much ground, there's really no way anybody could build a house in the hole. It's a hole down there. It's a pretty rough terrain. It's really rough and rocky out there. And
It's 15 inches of the house.
this is the shed right here. Yeah. The hole that you're talking about. Right here. But anyway, I mean, I'm going to be in favor of the variance. So a yes vote, Harold, a yes vote supports the variance, correct?
The variance was denied below, and so your yes vote is reversing the
Okay. I mean, and from what I understand is there's no neighbor or no one that brought this to your attention. No one's complained or no one sent us a letter or anything. So, okay. I mean, I support, I'm going to vote in favor of it. I hope you guys see it that way too.
Can I ask a question? If, as an example, we deny this, what then does the landowner then have to do?
Under the ordinance, the landowner has the right then to take an appeal to the circuit court, petition for the official review of the County 536 RSA number. So this, if you deny, you can still have the.
Did you not read the emails? Did you not read the emails I sent you?
Mr. Cronin?
Oh. Let's let these folks play out.
Did who surveyed?
We appreciate you all coming today.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I told them something different than what you all said.
Was it right on the line or something?
It's 15 inches off the line. He did excavation onto his neighbor. The neighbor issued the complaint. I sent you all that email. Yeah, that was his ask.
There's good seating available down front now if you'd like to move on down. It's like the late innings of the ball game. You can move right down. We can get Joe logged in during the log.
Yeah, there we go. Meeting's almost over.
It's going to take a little while.
Sure.
It's definitely in the right path.
Hey, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Mr. Cronin, you have the floor.
Okay, I got a little different information from this in an email from Mr. Myers, and I think we need to talk to him a little bit. For one, the complaint was originated from the neighbor, and when this gentleman built his shed, he encroached on that neighbor's ground and did a little excavation on his ground, and the corner of the shed's actually 15 inches off the property line. Additionally, he didn't get besides not getting a building permit from the county, he didn't get approval from the subdivision board of trustees. That all being said, I'm not still stating on whether I'm going to support or not support this, but I'd like to know what that subdivision trustees have to say about this, and I'd like to know what the neighbor has to say about this, because this thing's 15 inches off his line. If you look at the dirt work that the pictures that Mr. Myers sent out, that he actually did excavation across his line into the neighbor's property to build this shed. So I think we might want to hear from Mr. Myers about this. I'd appreciate hearing it.
Robert, come on up.
Sure. Yeah, this case was initiated after a neighboring property owner contacted our office and indicated they had had a survey done of their property, and their surveyor found that there was a shed on an adjoining property that was close to the line, and she cited the fact that she thought it was within the 7-foot side yard setback. And so, looking into whether or not there was a violation, we found that a shed had been constructed without building permits. So we followed up, and the property owner did apply for building permits in April, but we were not able to proceed with those permits because the shed, as located, is again located in the 7-foot side yard setback. And so the property owner applied for a variance from the 7-foot side yard setback, and that's where we are today. It also, the building encroaches, one corner of it is not only in the 7-foot side yard setback, but it's within a utility easement as well. So regardless of should the easement be granted, the owner would still need to extinguish the easement, I believe, have that extinguished.
Really? Because there's a lot of times there's buildings in the easement, and it just becomes an issue if any utility work needs to actually be done.
Right, yeah.
Chairman?
Yes.
I don't have any more questions of Robert, but I think if we're going to grant a variance, I think we should have the utility easement vacated prior to grant the variance and do it correctly. And as I spoke last time, there is a requirement that wall have a fire-resistant rating, which basically needs, it needs some drywall placed on it to create a barrier against adjacent property in case somebody did decide to put something down there. And the building code allows you to build closer to the lot line or put a building against the lot line if you have the proper fire-resistant rating. But my biggest concern is the easement, though. That should be vacated. If there's no utilities currently in there, then I don't know why the utility companies wouldn't grant him to vacate that easement, so we don't have future problems down the road.
Yeah.
Could we move to table this pending, I'd like to hear from the subdivision trustees and the neighbor that filed the complaint and Dave's questions. Is that
Yeah.
possibility?
Is there a motion to table
Well,
this?
let me ask a question
Yeah.
before, that's fine.
Sure.
I'm going to ask Robert, can you come up here, please?
Yes, sir.
On the, do you know, is it possible for your trustees to just sign a letter to?
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of them, and like I said, it's been up for 2.5 years. Nobody's contacted me, nobody's
Would your
complained.
neighbor agree that this is satisfactory for her?
I'll have to contact her, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to support it, but I'm thinking to make sure that if, I think that, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I don't have a problem with the utility easement because that's between you and the utility company.
Right,
That you can, you can fight that out with them down the road. But I think the neighbor did file a complaint and the subdivision does have standing in this. And if the neighbor and the subdivision are good with it, I don't have an issue with it. But that may not satisfy Dave either, so.
Yeah, but tonight, when you guys were mentioning it, that the subdivision trustees, they've never contacted me ever. I mean, like I said, it's been there for like 2.5 years. and-
Is there subdivision trustees in this?
There's 3 of them, I think, on the board that are in the.
And I don't have a problem supporting it, Joe, but I'd rather see us get the easement vacated.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a problem with that, to get that accomplished.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Ellen?
Can I ask Robert a question regarding what Mr. Hammond
They're
just
both
asked?
Roberts, so.
We got a couple of Roberts.
The county Robert.
You're Robert.
Yes.
The applicant is the grantor of the easement, right?
The applicant is the grantor of the easement. Well, the easement was created with the subdivision.
I mean, you can't vacate a utility easement unless you get every utility to agree that it's okay, right?
You would have to get the grantors of the easement right to vacate.
No, the grantees, the beneficiaries.
The grantees of the easement to vacate, right.
Grantees? The grantees would have to. So that, I mean, that's going to be pretty difficult to do. And the other question made for Harold Art, I mean, if this is over on an easement, any of those grantees, if they need to, could just go and knock the thing down if it's in their easement. Correct? So, I mean, that's kind of between the utilities and.
Yeah, I think if there's an encroachment, then the holder of the easement has the right to basically.
Yeah, and I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just saying I don't think vacating the easements is nearly impossible to get all the utilities to.
I don't know in the past, I've seen easements, I've seen the utility companies relinquish the easement, especially if it's down in the middle of the woods somewhere. I don't know that they would.
Yeah, but how many
somebody has to
utilities
ask
would
to
you have
vacate it.
But we have on occasion, if we have a utility easement created by a plat, the utility easement is granted by the developer, subdivider of the land at the beginning to the county in trust for the utilities. And some plats actually purport to make direct grants to utilities as well. I don't know what this particular plat said in its granting language. However, the county has on occasion gotten requests to do partial vacations or releases of some of these side lot line or rear lot line utility easements. We have usually proceeded only with when we have already received from the affected utilities either consents or releases. We usually, through the Planning and Zoning Division, identify those utilities, and we then ask the applicant for releasing or vacating the easement to contact the utilities and secure those consents. And the county doesn't act until those consents are in hand. At that point, the application to vacate or partly vacate a platted utility easement can come before you. Often on consent agenda. But all the heavy lifting is done by the property owner seeking the vacation. So he can build a deck, say, over the easement, or build an in-ground pool that might encroach on the easement. If he doesn't do that, that investment is
At risk.
at risk because the holder or beneficiary of the easement does have a right to use it. And an interference with that easement right is a violation of the easement right.
So, since we're on that topic now, if we allow grant him a variance,
We
now
don't
is the
solve all the
county going to have
problems.
any liability since we granted him a variance to place his building on the easement?
Yeah, given the posture and the complexity of this application, it may make sense to catch up with an application to vacate the easement, or at least that much of it that is necessary for accommodating the corner of the building that encroaches.
Robert, how far into the easement is it?
It's not on
Do you know how wide the easement
It's
is?
just, the easement is 10 feet wide, and it's just one corner of the building, basically, that's within the easement.
Okay.
So,
This is, I think this is getting beyond our role in it. If a property owner builds in the easement, that's quite frankly their problem, not ours. If we grant, we can say, yeah, you built over the line, or too close to the line, that's in our purview. Look, personally, this one, it's out in the woods. I don't see it ever coming up that it would be an issue. So I'm okay with it, but I'm not setting even my own precedence on this. If if somebody was on a quarter-acre lot in a subdivision or something, it's a totally different game, because there is highly likely that your neighbor is going to build a shed or a building or a garage or something else that's immediately adjacent to it. So I understand, procedure-wise, and we try to apply things like butter all the way from crust to crust, but I think this one's a little bit different.
Well,
That's just my viewpoint.
Right, and the fact is, he did follow procedure. He, in the way that after he made his mistakes, he filed for a variance. And so everything is not black and white. That's why we're here to choose to make, and you're right, Mike, if it was a subdivision, it's totally different, but there's no one that's going to build next to this thing. And it's not on the easement, it's 15 or 20 inches from the line. So let's make sure it's not on the easement. So, and the other thing is Joe's right. If it is on the easement, then let them worry about that. And if they got to tear, if that's his risk, if the corner of the building has to be removed, that's on him, nobody else. It's not none of our business. We just, that's, so I just prefer to vote this. We spent a little bit too much time on the shed in the woods.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, though. Mr. Cronin, you started to make a motion. What do you want to do at this point?
I do just want to reiterate that this whole thing became because of a complaint from the next door neighbor. And I don't like to vote on things without hearing from that neighbor. So if you guys want to move forward, that's fine. But I don't feel like I can support it without hearing from the neighbor that filed the complaint, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I got one question. Oh, John,
John, we haven't heard from you tonight.
If he's concerned about it, how come he's not here tonight?
I don't know that, John. That'd be
Thank you.
Yeah.
Robert.
You know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. So if anybody in the subdivision had a problem with it, if the neighbor had a problem with it, they've known that this has been available, so they could have come and said something. I think you put it in the wrong place, and I think if utilities need to get through there, that's going to be a big hole that you're going to have to fix in there. But I'm all about, let's get this thing done and move on.
Yeah.
Call the question.
Okay. Motion for approval of the, I guess, go ahead and just read it again, and we'll vote on it. Thank you.
An ordinance reversing the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 22777 related to 15 Green Mountain Court. Councilmember Klinghammer.
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond.
No.
Councilmember Hollander.
No.
Councilmember White.
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin.
Abstain.
Councilmember Brazel.
Yes.
And Councilmember Elam.
Yes.
Okay, 4 votes.
If it needed
It needs a supermajority. Fails.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. It unfortunately did not pass tonight. That's,
Is it what, Joanne?
Mr. Chairman, what I was going to say, since it doesn't have sufficient votes to pass, and it seems like a submajority of the council is interested, you could, one of the parties who voted no could move to have it reconsidered, and you could table it to see if it changes Mr. Cronin's mind when he's able to hear from folks.
It'd have to be somebody that voted no, so I'm going to look to my left.
No, because it failed.
Somebody who voted yes.
Reconsider at the
Yeah,
next
that's
meeting.
right.
Oh, she said someone who voted no.
You said somebody that voted no.
Can I do that?
It should be a prevailing.
Somebody
The
who-
prevailing party.
Somebody who
Oh,
voted.
I'm sorry, the prevailing, but the prevailing
Party
party
where there's one that voted no.
or the no's.
That's true, yes.
It is, yes, it is. The prevailing parties were the no's.
The no's.
So it needs to be somebody who voted no.
No.
It's up to you two boys.
Okay,
How about somebody
John and
that's
I,
staying?
we obviously voted differently on this issue, but we are going to go together and make a motion to table this.
You don't trust my parliamentarian skills, you're going to go together?
We're getting this covered either way, okay?
No, the motion would be.
Is to reconsider.
One of us having voted on the prevailing
Right.
side.
Yes.
We make the motion.
We make the motion.
To reconsider the vote by which it failed.
Okay, we would like to make the motion to reconsider the vote.
Okay, I'll second the motion then. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, you're
Now
still
you
alive.
can vote, now you can vote to table.
Now we'll vote to table it until.
Or reconsider.
Do you think 2 weeks will give you ample time to?
Do we have a reconsider on the council? I make a motion to table, but just for the conversation of the table, I believe Mr. Cronin would be, well, you can tell him.
All I want to hear is from the neighbor and the subdivision covenant. So that's the
Just a
subdivision
letter.
first. A letter. I'm fine. Okay, so, and I think that's probably the best thing to do anyway, because your neighbors are important.
From the adjoining property that's in
That
question.
filed the complaint.
Or you from the trustees?
From the trustees and the neighbor that filed the complaint. And I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Mr. President, you want to make
A
a
motion to table?
it for, until the next regular meeting?
Till next meeting, yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it'll be on the agenda again. Carol, what's the date of the next meeting? Donna, somebody?
September the 8th, isn't it?
Yes.
September 8th. Okay. If you can't get the information by then, just let our staff know, and it'll still be on the agenda, but we'll make a notation that it'll be continued.
And one more question. Dave, if he firewalls the wall, are you in favor of it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
get some 5H drywall. There you go.
But as far as an inspection goes, the fire marshal out there in Winsville, he said that he's not allowed to inspect it or anything. But
No, it's.
Well, you contact the building department.
You'll have to get a building permit, and that will require the drywall
Okay.
To one side.
per regulations.
Yeah, he told me how.
So
Okay.
let me ask you guys a question then. So if we write that into the ordinance, he's going to 5/8 drywall that wall,
You don't need to.
you don't need to on that wall? It's agriculture though, Wayne.
I just can't.
But wait, there's
I
more.
just can't.
Why would we put drywall in a side of a metal pole barn?
That's the ordinance requirement. If you're within, I think it's 5 feet, 5 feet of a property line, our building codes require a 1-hour rating. Is that right, Dave? 1-hour
correct.
rating on all of the walls that are within that distance. And now, if he feels that that's unreasonable for some reason, then he can go to the building commission to see if they would even consider a waiver. I think it would be best if you just put the drywall up and be done with it, but that's his decision.
Well,
The thing that you're doing is you're deciding whether or not to grant the variance so he can have the building there. He still has to apply for a building permit, which all of this could have been avoided had he done that initially, and he would have found out what the regulations were. But that's over the dam now. And so he still needs to go through the process of getting a building permit and meeting those regulations or filing for the proper appeals. You don't need to put that stuff in your ordinance. That's already the law that he needs to follow.
So my point is, Mike, can we, with that being said, then Dave will support it, then we have our 5 to pass it, so we just vote on it tonight, be done with it.
We already made a motion to,
We didn't vote on it yet, did we? Did we? No.
yeah. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. You got your own parking spot out there now, I believe. So. All right.
Bill 4124.
Moving forward, 4124.
Bill number 4124, an ordinance amending the 2014 Annual Action Plan for St. Charles County, Missouri, and its capacity as an urban county for fiscal years 2014 through 2016 under the Community Development Block Grant Program of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, authorizing the county executive to execute all documents or certifications required for submittal to HUD with the action plan, and further authorizing the county executive to execute the funding approval agreements that HUD shall require upon approving the amendment to the 2014 Annual Action Plan.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the vote.
An ordinance amending the 2014 Annual Action Plan for St. Charles County, Missouri, in its capacity as an urban county for fiscal year 2014 through 2016 under the Community Development Block Grant Program of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, authorizing the county executive to execute all documents or certifications required for submittal to HUD with the action plan, and further authorizing the county executive to execute the funding approval agreements that HUD shall require upon approving the amendment to the 2014 Annual Action Plan. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes. Okay, next we have 4125, which sounds strangely like 4124, but there are some differences.
Bill number 4125, an ordinance authorizing execution of 3 agreements relating to the St. Charles County's Urban County Community Development Block Grant Program, or Urban County CDBG program, for 2014 through 2016, namely, a subrecipient agreement between St. Charles County and the City of St. Peters to operate and run the city's CDBG programs and services, a services agreement between St. Charles County and the City of St. Peters for the city's operation of urban county programs and services, and a subrecipient agreement between St. Charles County and Crider Health Center for conducting a homeless prevention program.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, call a roll call vote, please.
An ordinance authorizing execution of 3 agreements relating to St. Charles County's Urban County Community Development Block Grant Program, or Urban County CDBG program, for 2014 through 2016, namely, a subrecipient agreement between St. Charles County and the City of St. Peters to operate and run the city's CDBG programs and services, a services agreement between St. Charles County and the City of St. Peters for the city's operation of urban county programs and services, and a subrecipient agreement between St. Charles County and Crider Health Center for conducting a homeless prevention program. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Okay, next we have 4126.
Bill number 4126, an ordinance authorizing intergovernmental agreements with affiliate agencies participating in the Missouri Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, for which the St. Charles County Sheriff's Department is lead agency under St. Charles County's cooperative agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, call a vote.
An ordinance authorizing intergovernmental agreements with affiliate agencies participating in the Missouri Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, for which the St. Charles County Sheriff's Department is lead agency under St. Charles County's cooperative agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice. Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Okay, bill number 4127.
Bill number 4127, an ordinance amending Chapter 115 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to the basic pay plan for positions within the St. Charles County Department of Information Systems, and further amending the 2014 budget adopted by Ordinance 13-92.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, call the vote.
An ordinance amending Chapter 115 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to the basic pay plan for positions within the St. Charles County Department of Information Systems, and further amending the 2014 budget adopted by Ordinance 13-092. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, is there any announcements? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Oh, sorry, Mr. Elman.
I'd like to congratulate Councilman Brazel on his recent election.
Oh, yes.
as Chairman of the Republican County Central Committee.
Yeah, you know what they say, be careful for what you wish for.
Does that mean that you missed a meeting and they elected you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Congratulations. Motion for adjournment?
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you.